Welcome back to another episode of 30, Flirty, and Surviving. I'm Tracy, and if you are new here, you guys can go ahead and follow everything about the show on Instagram at 30, Flirty, Surviving, and you can catch up on new episodes every week, Mondays at 9 a.m. You already know the deal. I am so excited today to have this guest with me. She's definitely someone you recognize. You guys are gonna absolutely love her. But let me tell you a little background story first, okay? So I think that, it's rare to find a guy who can instill confidence and build self-esteem in women using his charm and his humor and his witty sayings. We stan a supportive king, but what I'm always more interested in is the bad, beautiful bitch.
Oh no.
Beside him.
Yes.
And that is exactly who I have with me today. She is all over TikTok. She is an incredible human being. She's an open book. She's hilarious. She's sweet. She's helpful. And quite honestly, I think she's been giving her man a run for her money. So without further ado, Miss Ash DeMato.
Hello.
Hi. Thank you so much for joining today.
Thanks for having me.
I have to say, you have just been like so bubbly and so warm and so sweet in all of our conversations prior to this, and I have been looking forward to it for a while now, and like even showing up, I'm like, I already know her. I feel like we're already friends. You're just like you have such a welcoming, inviting demeanor, and you have a really great knack for making people feel comfortable around you, which is really special, and I think also a huge testament to why you've gone so far as you have already. If you guys are not familiar with Ash already, she is the counterpart to Kevin Cooney. She is on TikTok at Ash DeMato. It's 1214, right?
Yes.
Ash DeMato 1214. And Instagram, it's
I think it's DeMato, yeah.
DeMato.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. Cumulatively, you and Kevin have over 500,000 followers on
TikTok?
Yeah.
So he has like 815,000.
Holy smokes.
So I have 32. So.
Okay.
So
but you know what? You guys are
know?
basically doing the majority of this together.
He has them because of me. Just
Duh.
doesn't know.
They're there for you,
Totally.
you know?
Totally.
Okay, so I have a lot that I want to get into. I want to ask you a little bit about TikTok and social media. I want to ask you a little bit about your relationship and then some things about you as well. But before I do so, I want to ask basic questions to start that I ask all my other guests. First and foremost, if you're comfortable, will you share your age?
Yes, I am 27.
Okay.
Yes.
And, the accent is something that gets talked about quite
Always.
often.
Yes.
Where are you born and raised?
So I'm from East Boston. So for people who don't know, I used to always say Logan Airport is East Boston. Now, if you say Tall Ships, everyone knows.
Yeah, I know. That's been like the hot spot these days.
So it's so funny. People are like, ooh, where? And I'm like, Tall Ships. Like, oh, okay.
Now I know. Yeah. Okay, so, the accent's real.
It's real. It's unfortunately real.
Wow. And deservingly so. You
Right.
really did grow up in Boston.
Yeah,
So I'm not
so-
surprised. Do your parents have an accent too?
My mom does. So my mom is born and raised in the same house that we live in now.
Oh my
so
gosh.
So me and her sound identical. My dad, not really.
Not so much.
He's from Everett, so close, but
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Not so much.
Well, I love it, and now you can put all the haters to rest.
Exactly.
It's real, people. Learn to love it, embrace it, accept it. It's so fun.
I know. It's funny because, Kevin is now used to it, but if we ever meet people who don't know me yet, he starts to notice it again because everyone keeps calling it out. But
yeah, he's kind of come immune to it a little bit, and then
absolutely.
someone else recognizes it, and he's like, yeah.
Oh, wow.
That is a strong accent.
Yeah.
Okay, and then my other question to you is, do you know what your zodiac sign is?
Yes, I'm a Sagittarius.
Another fire sign. I'm an Aries. I love that so much.
Very nice. I think Kevin is.
Really? When's his birthday?
April 3rd.
Yeah, he is.
I'm so good.
And that's really great. I mean, we're going to get into it in a little bit, but fire signs are really compatible with one another. So you guys must have a really great connection,
a little bit, you know?
I mean, you guys are doing okay. Okay, so let's start getting into it. The relationship itself. Let's get the obvious out there, okay? If I'm correct, it started in the DMs.
Oh, it started in the DMs.
So you did not have any, like, mutual ties? No, like, how did you know one another?
So we have a bunch of mutual friends. So Kevin's from New Hampshire, not far, but he worked in Boston forever.
Okay.
So we had mutual friends. So, I mean, this was, I want to say, like March 2020, so right when COVID hit.
Oh, damn. She was like, I'm not going to do this.
I'm like, it was March 17th.
COVID alone. I am going to have a partner.
No, yeah. So, I mean, at this point, you know, TikTok wasn't a thing. Nothing was a thing. So I got a friend request, and we had enough mutual friends. I accepted it. Like, no big deal, whatever.
Oh, he had his eye on the prize.
I know, right? And basically, I've always been someone, I, like, hate attention. Hate it. So if any boy swiped into my DMs, slid in, swiped in, whatever the hell it's called at this point.
Whatever the kids are calling it these days.
You know, 27 is a bit old. If they said anything about my looks, my body, anything. Out. Yeah. Like, you're getting blocked. Leave me alone. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, my mom tells me I'm pretty. It's okay. I don't need that. Like, it's fine. But I posted a story. Basically, it was Brady had already left. And then Gronk announced he was now joining. And I, like, posted something like, who knew Edelman of all people could be the person you could trust? Because I don't know if people know Edelman in Boston, but, you know.
He doesn't have the best reputation.
Right. No hate. But
I mean, he's great on the field.
Great. On lots of fields, I've heard.
Yeah.
But, so I just posted that, and he, like, swiped up and just, like, laughed about that. So it was just, like, so refreshing. So, you know, I just
He was like, this can be something that I can actually talk to her about. We can talk about sports.
He's like, we got a girl with football.
Yeah, yes. He found his in.
Right. So we just started chatting from there, honestly.
Okay.
And then the cutest part, I don't know if this is, like, if he'll hate me for sharing this, but so cute. He had a shirt on from RX Bar. Do you know those, like, kind of protein bars?
Yes, I love those. Yeah, I almost didn't understand what you were saying, but yeah. But I got it.
Yeah. So I love those. And he had a shirt on that said it because he used to work there, and I, like, swiped up. Now I'm doing the swiping up. And I was like, oh my God, love those bars. Gotta flirt a little bit. And he sent a whole, like, family-sized box to my house and said, since I can't take you to the bar, I thought I'd bring you the bars instead.
Shut
I still have, like, the sticky note and everything. Yeah.
That
we hadn't met yet, nothing.
Sweet.
Right. And then I ate all the bars.
I mean, obviously. What flavor were they?
It was like a variety.
Oh, a variety pack.
Yeah. Wicked sweet.
That's so thoughtful.
Right? So that was kind of what got me. I was like, oh, he's funny.
What? Well, I mean, like, now he's got it all, right? I mean, like, he's showing initiative, he's funny, and now he's sweet and thoughtful. I mean, what's not to love?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, we can get into, I'm sure, you know, what is it, 2 years later?
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some things every couple goes through, you know. Okay, so when you, how did he first ask you out?
So, also
from
pretty
there.
funny. Yeah. So we had each other's phone numbers, of course, after a little bit. It was months that we were just chatting on social because this was, again, like, peak of lockdown. There was simply nothing you can do. And I posted that I was at the beach one day, and I literally remember every photo. It's, like, so gross. I'm like, ew, no, I don't. Like, yes, I do. And I uploaded, so I'm Italian, so I tan very well.
Where in Italy are you from, do you know?
Naples and Sicily.
Okay.
So, close, yeah. But so I tan very well. Mm-hmm. Don't mind me now, I'm trying to take care of my skin. I'm no longer going in tanning bed, so
I love it.
It's rough, but, so I think I, like, posted a picture of, like, my leg was in the back, like, my knee, you know, like, really sexy.
Yes,
and, like, the two different oils I use, and he swiped up, and he was like, LOL, like, my Irish ass could never. Something, like, simple as that. And I was like, oh, well, I'll have to take you to the beach and show you. He's like, oh, okay, how's tomorrow? And I was like,
oh.
Like, I'm used to boys being like, we should hang out, and you say yes, and I'm like, never hear from
Yeah,
them again.
and then nothing comes of it.
And he's like, yep, tomorrow, like, I'll pick you up. And I'm like, oh.
Wow. Oh, well, I love that you you really made the first move.
Yeah,
I mean, he did. He put it out there.
Right.
But you were the one that really suggested the two of you meet up.
Right.
And he ate that shit up, clearly.
Right, which is also super attractive because, like, I'm saying a lot of guys don't. Mm-hmm. And, like, I don't know if they like the chase or what, but they're like, oh, like, we'll have her beg 7 times before I'll, like, you know.
It's all part of the game.
Right.
Because they just need to boost their egos up. So they want to feel wanted, and if you chase them a little bit, that gives them the incentive. But he's mature. He's not playing games. Mm-hmm. He's not trying to, like, waste your time. Nope. Yeah, I'm interested. Clearly, that's why I started following you to begin with. Mm-hmm. We've been having this little banter. Let's get this offline, and let's meet in person.
Yeah.
And it's been bliss ever since.
It has. It honestly, it's funny like thinking back because it feels like yesterday, but then it feels like we were babies. Like, I mean, I was 25, which I know was 2 years ago, but like 25 is a baby.
I know. It is really young. Yeah. It is. And at that point, had he started TikTok or no?
So this is why I go back to when you're like, oh, it's like perfect. And I was like, oof. So I think he was on TikTok, but I myself didn't have a TikTok app, like, even to scroll.
Okay.
I didn't know about it. So I don't know, like, what trends are. I don't know what, like, these sounds are. I don't know any of this. And when I was showing my sisters, like, his Instagram and stuff, and I'm like, he's super sweet, like, super cute, blue eyes, so, like, I'm all in. I was like, but look at these, like, weird videos he does. And, like, there was one of him, like, with his washing machine, like, doing some weird thing. And I was like, I just don't know if I'm into that.
Yeah.
Because, like, in the past, I've never dated anyone with, like, social media, really.
Right.
So I was like, I don't know, like, that's weird, isn't it? And my sister was like, oh, my God, no, it's not. Like, it's TikTok. I was like, oh, okay.
Like, sis was behind it.
Yeah,
she's
so
like,
she was,
you're not going to sabotage this one.
Because I'm, of course, someone, too, who, like, you know, like, I pick out every little thing about people. And my goal prior to COVID hitting was to be better about that because I was never someone who dated or did any. I was alone and loved it.
Yeah.
Like, I still love my alone time. But that was, like, my goal, and then COVID hit, and I was like, haha, like, no one wanted me to go out. So when it came, she was like, Ashley, it's TikTok. Like, it's just, like, he's probably bored. Like, just go on the date and see it. And it's great.
Funny because I feel like when you're normally dating somebody, you get to, over time, learn, like, their quirks, their personality, what's their sense of humor. And sometimes it can be a little bit scary when it's, like, all right there in front of you, you know? Yeah. And you can easily start to make up these things in your head like, oh, maybe it's too much, or I don't know how I feel about that, or, you know, what's his intentions on being in this platform, and, like, kind of make you think. But I love that you push those thoughts down and just went for it. I was going to ask you about hesitation, so that kind of answered my questions right away.
Really it, which is so funny because I usually have, like, 20. So, like, it's good that there was only the one. And, I mean, now that hesitation has, like, helped us become who we are. So, all in it.
Amen to that.
I'll renegade with you if I have to, but, like, I'll do it.
And so how long into the relationship did you guys decide to move in together?
So we were dating, so our first date was July of 2020. We moved in together end of August 2021. So just about a year. That's about it.
Okay. I feel like that's a good, healthy amount of time. And COVID times, I think a lot of people realized their relationships were progressing more quickly because when there's less things to do in the city, you spend a lot more time together, and that quality time, like, increases the bond. No, so I'm sure it felt like you had been together for a longer time.
It still does.
Moving in together, I've never lived with a significant other. Was this your first time?
Yeah, first time.
What adjustments needed to be made about your dynamic, or, like, what things did you kind of learn about each other once you were under the same roof?
So luckily, we work well together, so well together. He is very neat and clean, which is great, especially you don't find that too often in a guy.
Yeah.
I am legitimately OCD, like, literally diagnosed OCD. So, like, okay, being neat and clean is great, but it needs to be my way. And that has been an issue with, like, even my siblings get annoyed by it. You know what I mean? Like, they're like, I'm a psychopath about it. I am, and I get it. Like, sorry.
That's so funny. I thought you were going to say the opposite. Like, he's really neat, which is great because I'm messy. But you're like, he's neat, and it's still not up to my standards.
No. So, but what's good about it is he's like, I'm happy as long as things clean, and I'm like, good, because they're going to be my way.
Yeah.
So he's good with it. I think our biggest issue still And the fact that this is our biggest issue, like, really says something. When I go to sleep, I need the pillows to be properly placed, and he always puts one of them upside down, and the zipper's supposed to be on the bottom. And he still doesn't do it.
He hasn't learned yet?
I think he's doing it purposely at this point, honestly, because he finds it so funny that I'm, like, in my glasses and my granny panties, like, stumbling back out to the living room to, like, flip it.
He's, like, waiting for the one night that you forget or don't realize, and then he can wake up and be like, I got away with it.
No, never.
It's just not going to happen.
Never gonna happen.
Okay, I love it. Yeah, if that's your worst issue, then I think you guys are on a great track. You guys clearly have a very special dynamic, and it's very evident in the videos you guys put out and the things you guys show to the public. You have really, talked a lot about, like, your personal life. You guys are very open. You guys are able to share a lot, which is really great. You guys talk about things like finances and spending, the student loans, this, that. And one of the things that you've been really open about is wanting that ring, girl. Where is it? No, just kidding. Obviously, you say it with a lot of humor, and I'm sure there's serious conversations that are happening behind closed doors, but you guys will get there in due time. But for you as a female, has that always been, like, your end goal? Is marriage something that is really important to you?
Yeah, so, I mean, me personally, I have always, like, dreamt about getting married and this and that. I don't think it's never been pressured. Like, out of all my cousins, one of them is married, literally. So, like, it's not like it's, like, a huge pressure by any means. I think just...
The Italian mother's not asking you?
No.
Really?
Well, now she's a little bit. Now that I found someone. Prior to that, she's like, God, please don't.
Yeah.
But still not too much. Like, I've definitely seen it on a few of my other friends, like, their parents pushing babies just because they're a little bit older. My dad hopes that we never have kids, so, like, definitely don't have that pressure.
Why?
Just 'cause it's a little fucked up of a world right now.
Yeah, that's true. True.
Sorry for swearing.
Oh, no, you can swear. Cuss away.
All right, cool. So no pressure on that end, honestly. I think I just always have wanted to. However, I find it super funny because, and I'm sure we all have, I thought I was going to marry my high school boyfriend. He was going to propose on graduation night of college because that's obviously realistic, with the $3 I had in my bank account.
Where, like, maybe in, like, Alabama.
Right. Like,
Texas.
What? Thought that was going to happen. Yeah. So that's definitely much gone. Like, that, thank God that didn't happen. I think the funny thing with me that a lot of people on TikTok probably don't realize, and maybe it's TMI, and maybe, like, no one really gives a shit, but I want the babies. I really don't even give a crap about the wedding. I want the babies. Yeah. So just give me the ring so we can have the babies.
You're just trying to do the whole process.
I'm trying to do it right. You're not letting it work. If I have to do it wrong, I will.
Right.
Not wrong, but,
There's no right or wrong way to do it. Yes, but I totally understand what you're saying. So it's just always been something that you wanted, but you know that he's the one, so you're like, why are we wasting any time here?
Right,
like, let's keep it moving.
And we have so many conversations about it. We're both on the same exact path.
Yeah. Are those, like, when did those conversations start for you, and, like, when did you know that he was the one?
The conversations started very early. I'm a very blunt person, and I think after going through all my, like, past relationships and experiences, and like, one thing, we were speaking about this the other day, in every relationship I've ever been in, I always thought you were supposed to like, get rid of yourself to please the other person. Like, you were supposed to be the most selfless person in the entire world so that the other person could have it how they want to have it. So I would never bring up awkward conversations because I'm like, oh, like, I don't want to make them feel awkward. Like, I would never pressure anyone to doing anything, and not by pressure, but, like, bring it up because I thought I would be pressuring them. Like, I would never, the amount of relationships that I was in that I didn't even know what we were, because I didn't want to be like, oh my God, like, I know it's been 6 months and, like, I've met his whole family, but, like, I don't want to ask it for official. Like, you know what I mean? Like, absolutely not. So I took all that time to be alone, to focus on myself, and if I was going to get into a relationship, it was going to be for all those reasons. So straight from date 1, I got into his truck and I was like, okay, let's get started. And I had like a list of questions for him. I was like, let's do it because like you can drop me back off at home. Like I'm not doing this.
I'm obsessed with that.
Yeah.
Do you have like the same questions for every guy?
A lot of the
Do you
same.
have an example?
So yes, first question. I don't even think we like drove off yet. And I was like, all right, how do you take your steak? Because if it's well done, drop me off.
See you later. See you later. That's
I'll walk home.
Jail time.
Absolutely not.
No.
It was medium rare. So I was like, okay, we can keep going.
We can work with that.
Yeah, we can go. So I was like, I'd rather it mooing, but whatever. I guess we can do medium rare. Like, you worry about yourself. But so that was like one question. And it just really went from there. He says he knew from date number 2 that I was the one. Date number 2, I was such a bitch because I was like going through something. So that shocks me, but I'm like, great if you like.
Well, he was like, I'm seeing this girl at maybe quote unquote her worst, and I'm still enjoying spending time with her. So maybe that was his thought process there. Is like, I still really enjoy being with her. Yeah. So that's how I must know.
Right. I think for me, it was when he helped me move into my old apartment. Just because I saw like how selfless he was, and I was like, wow. And like he was talking to my dad, and like my he's an old Italian man, like, he can be rough. So I think that's when I kind of knew. I was like, oh wow, he's different, you know?
I love that so much. Yeah. I feel like you guys really have been able to accelerate your relationship. So outside of just knowing that it's something that you've always wanted, luckily your parents aren't pressuring you, but do you feel being a female, you're getting pressure from outside sources, whether it's friends or being on social media, being in the public eye, to start going, to those next steps? And do you feel like that's something that you often worry about?
I don't know if it's like pressure is so much the right word. I think now that it's become such like a joke between us. Yeah. Which is great. I love it. Like people call me Hagrid. It doesn't bother me. Like joke about everything. It. Yeah. Like I don't get offended by anything.
Thick skin.
Right. Yeah. I'll answer the same question 100 times. Like it's fine. Like none of that bothers me by any means. But lately I found that like the other day I posted how we were going out for like date lunch. And people were like, oh my God, is it happening? And I'm like, no, we're literally grabbing pizza, guys. Yeah. Like,
slow your roll a little bit. Yeah.
If this is how he does it, we're going to have another conversation after that. Like,
and like, believe me, when he does it, I'll let you guys know.
Like everyone will know.
Yeah, you'll find out.
So, I mean, that's answering the question a little bit differently just because of what we've created it. But I do feel that I now more want him to propose just so other people get like their answer opposed to like me at this point. You know what I mean? I'm like, please just do it for like the girl in my DMs every day. Please. Like, she is stressed.
I love it.
Like, I love it. But no, I mean, I think, of course, we all feel a little pressured. But I have so many friends who already know they never want to be married and they never want to have kids. And my aunt was only ever in, like, long, serious relationships, never married. And I think I'm blessed to be able to see that you can be an independent woman and still have a significant other. And it doesn't need to be solidified by a $15,000 ring, but if that's something that you want, that's great.
Absolutely.
And I want that. I want that $15,000.
Yeah, I think that's like exactly it. It's like if it's not on someone else's journey, then that's totally fine. Right. But it is something that you want to be a part of yours, and like you own it, and you found someone that's on the same page, and it will happen in due time. But I love that you have been so assertive throughout your relationship and starting from the get-go. I think that's something that's rare. Like you said, in the past, especially girls, I think when we're less confident or a little bit more, insecure, unsure of ourselves, younger, you don't want to be the crazy girl or that, like, puts the pressure on him, asks for too much, that pushes him away, whatever it may be. But I think as we're getting older, it's like, no, like, I'm wasting my time if I don't be upfront with you. So you can have whatever perception of me that you want, but I'd rather you tell me now, in the first month of dating that you think I'm nuts and walk away than not be upfront with what I'm looking for and then find out down the road that, like, that's not something that you've ever considered or wanted for yourself. Like, it's so important that you're doing that.
If being in a relationship is too much for someone, that's not your person.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah. Exactly.
And, like, it might hurt for a little bit, but I promise you staying in that relationship, begging for someone's attention and love is going to hurt 10 times more.
Yeah.
I've done it.
Yeah.
I promise.
I completely agree. I love that. You're so wise. Okay, the other question I wanted to ask you is, now that you guys are clearly in the public eye, I mean, we're talking about it already, do you feel like there has been a difference in how you're received versus how he's received, in the sense of being a female versus being a guy? Do you think that, like, the type of comments that you get, he's not receiving? You know what I mean? Like, they're not asking him about the ring, right? They're only asking you. Like, what's been the biggest difference between your experience and his, do you think?
You know, I think that a lot of it is people are just mean.
Yeah.
Like, and girls specifically are very jealous beings. We all are. I mean, it's kind of, I think, just like our natural living. For some reason, we like to, like, drive ourselves crazy. And
what issues can I cause myself today?
Exactly. You're like, life's too good. Let's stir up some drama. Yeah. So I think that I found, you know, and not to attack one person over another or anything, or say, like, I'm perfect, I've never done this, but I find on social media that I get attacked more by women all the time. Kevin doesn't, just because, like, I think for a girl, like, what's that really going to do for them to, like, you know, attack, like, Kevin? Great, congrats. But I mean, in the beginning, I would get attacked on my weight constantly. I remember I was cleaning windows and literally, like, his sweatshirt and, like, my dad's sweatpants. And someone goes, "Oh, she looks like she eats a lot of baguettes."
What?
And I was like, "Baguettes, honey, we are not in France. I eat bagels." Like, and yes, I do. They're good. Have you not had one? Like,
I love your attitude.
Is that an issue?
But it is. There's, for some reason, people feel so comfortable.
Oh my God.
Commenting on women.
Yeah.
Appearances.
So I think they know, like, it'll affect us more than it'll affect a guy. Yeah. And I mean, it will affect some guys, you know, and like, it's terrible affecting anyone. I was very much affected from it in the beginning, and Kevin kind of, like, taught me how to let it not, you know, like, he's like, "Ash, I get bad stuff too all the time." He's like, "But I have such a great, like, you get 100 comments that are good and you get one comment that's bad. You're always going to, like, obsess over the bad one.
You remember the bad one.
Right. And there was someone who commented the other day making fun of the fact that he had a Chase credit card and not Amex credit card.
Are you kidding me?
And he was like, "Okay, buddy, I, like," and not saying this in any way cocky form, but he's like, "I have 850,000 followers and I'm making money off of this app. Your comment is making me money."
Right.
You're not doing that right now.
Keep saying whatever you want to say, pal.
Yeah, you're paying my credit card at this point. Yeah. You're paying for Ashley shopping. Like, keep it coming, because we got a lot more. Like, you know, so I think he taught me that. And I think that if everyone could try to take social media that way, and just saying, like, the people who are typically saying the rude things too aren't the people who are following you. The people who, like, actually genuinely care about you, like, think your content's funny or, like, relate to your story or anything. These are people scrolling and they're like, right. What can I do today?
Right. People have a lot of confidence behind the screen to say things that they would never say to your face.
But I mean, it's always weight related or makeup related, or the amount of hate I got that my accent was fake, and, like, that's actually the stuff that I get upset about. Everything else, you can call me fat, you can call me ugly, you can call me haggard.
Yeah.
Do not say my accent's fake. Do not say
it. You heard it here. Do not let her catch you, people. Yeah. So going on to TikTok, like, for the first time and deciding to be a part of the platform, were you hesitant because Kevin already had such a large following, or did it feel more of just, like, a natural thing for you to do?
Not at all. So might be shocking, but I'm extremely introverted, like, very introverted.
It is shocking. Sorry.
Yeah, so introverted. So I never wanted it. And he was on it. It was great. And he would have friends who are also on social media that were like, "Ash, you need to get into it. Like, you'll do so good." And I'm like, "No, I don't want it." And, like, they would kind of pressure me. And Kevin's like, "No, she doesn't want to be on it. Like, not a big deal. Like, it doesn't matter."
He's
like,
got your back.
Right.
I like that.
It's also, like, it's social media, guys. Yeah. Like, relax. And I didn't want to be on it because I wasn't thick enough skins. Like, he would upload a video of me and like every comment would be negative. A lot of it too was like girls who didn't know he had a girlfriend, so like they like, ooh, attack her. And then once they got to know me a little bit more, like they're like, oh, we actually like her. Like, okay, fine. Like, you know. So I was super, super hesitant. What got me into doing it, honestly, was, so I've always worked in healthcare. I have my undergrad's in genetics and psychology. My master's is in child psych. So I worked at Mass General for 7 years, like kill myself going to work every day. And I have no time to myself because everyone can work remotely now, and I'm still trucking it to work every single day. And then I get paid shit. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And I was seeing the brand deals.
MGH.
Like, not so much. Not too sorry. But I was seeing, like, the brand deals and the opportunities that this was, like, allowing him. And not even that it's necessarily about money, but the opportunities it was bringing him. Like, we got to meet Ryan Serhant, which was amazing. We got to be on the news, which was amazing. And, like, Kevin's so awesome that he's been bringing me along on this journey. And I'm like, okay, you know, like, I want this. Like, I'm sorry, making minimum wage is not, and, like, somewhere I'm not even happy is not my life goal. I'm no longer happy where I am. So, like, I'd love to find a way that I can get my voice heard, get my name heard, get connections, and, you know, maybe still work for shit in healthcare in the future. But as long as I love it and I'm doing what I want to do, you know? Yeah. So that's kind of like what pushed me.
Because it was everything combined too. Like, it's not just the pay. No. It was a platform to reach all those things, but also flexibility. I mean, you're making your own schedule. You're being able to, if you're more of a night owl, morning person, weekends, like, it's not as structured. So you had a lot of room to move, or like wiggle room, you know, doing this versus that. So are you no longer there anymore?
So no, I left healthcare a while ago. I do hope to get back into it in the future, because it's like, it is where my passion is. I just think right now for so many people it's just a tough place to be. So I left. I got a remote job, just to allow me like that flexibility. But my end goal is to, like, Kevin and I are working to be our own bosses one day, you know, whether that be through social media or what can come through social media, you know. So, yeah, I mean, I just want to be able to have that availability to be able to do that, to grow together, to grow, like, our future, not, like, the now. And I just think it's, like, a really great time to do so. So I took the jump, and it's still scary, and I'm still not doing what I love, but I can, like, tell that I'm, like, getting closer to it.
I feel like as you've grown and, like, the longer you've been on the platform, it's less about, like, hey, I'm Kevin's girlfriend, and more about, like, hey, I'm Ash, and, like, this is my story, and this is about who I am, and you're getting, and, like, we love Kevin, but, like, you're getting to be able to just segment yourself a little bit so that there doesn't have to be the direct correlation, and, like, you're doing things on your own merit, which is really cool, because there's obviously, you know, experiences in your life that are not something he can speak to, right? But there's a lot of things that you, and we're going to talk about it in just a couple minutes, but some things that you've gone through that could really, like, help a lot of people by spreading awareness to and by having conversations about. So there's a lot of empowerment and being able to just say, you know what, like, I'm not just going to be the sidekick. I'm going to go in and do this on my own. Although I'm sure you still do a lot of stuff together. And I mean, obviously, you guys, you know, highlight your relationship. What would you say to someone who is considering going into business or working with their significant other? Does it cause, are there, like, creative differences that cause stress, arguments, like anything you guys kind of disagree on?
Yeah, so exactly how you're saying, like, there's creative differences. And I think the best advice is, one, to just be able to talk. Like, that was something I was never able to do in past relationships. If something was bothering me, I'd bottle it up. Right now, like, I'll give Kevin all the attitude, and, like, he can take it. Like, I try not to, obviously, but, you know, in previous relationships, I was scared they'd leave me if I voiced my opinion. Like, I can do that here, and he listens, and we work together. So, for example, when we started doing coffee and we were boxing up all these orders, he posted a TikTok about the coffee, and literally overnight, over 100 orders came in. And we've never, and, like, we're doing everything. All the coffee's in our apartment, in our closet with the coats. So, like, I had to move all my coats. And there's a lot of coats.
This is like, it's not as glamorous as it looks, people,
right.
okay?
But so, like, we have the boxes there, we have all the wrapping stuff, and we, like, take the orders, print the, like, do the whole shebang. Yeah. So we were doing that. Great. Awesome. And it was after 100 orders came in, so we've never done that before. Wow. It's always been, like, 5 a week. It's a startup, and he doesn't focus all his time on it, but we're working on it.
And what is it called? Dangerously caffeinated?
Dangerously caffeinated, yeah.
Of course.
So we posted TikTok, all these orders come in. I'm more of like he's very orderly and clean and like neat, but I'm just like over the top more. Right. So I don't even remember what it was, but it was something like we did like as many as we could fit on the table together. And then like we were printing orders, and then it was like, oh no, wait, like it was this box was for this label, and we need to re-go through it. Oh, man. And I'm like, well, if we just like had a routine, and like he's like, well, I don't know what to do. Right. So I mean, it's gonna be tough, but like if our end goal is to be our own bosses, so it's gonna be way bigger, hopefully, than what this is now. And like, just communication. If you can't communicate right now at 27 dating, well, if we can't communicate, not saying anyone else's relationship, but like if we can't communicate right now at 27 doing what we're doing right now, we will never make it for what our end goal is. Yeah. So just communication. Yeah. It really is. And that's something I never had in my previous relationships, which I love in this, but it's also something I'm still learning, that you can disagree and not break up. Yeah. Which is bizarre, but apparently it happens. So.
Who knew? Who knew? But that is a really great point, because, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, it's not necessarily as, bad as it was before in terms of COVID, but, like, things are still a little bit quieter. Times have definitely changed, but you're living together, you're working together, there's a lot of time spent with one another. A lot of couples, like, would just get on each other's nerves just living together. So, but then you have these other things. You have to go to events and meetings and et cetera, like, you're probably going to need your space. But again, that's where the communication comes in, and just being able to voice, like, I need a little me time, like you were talking about earlier. Like, tonight I just want to, like, sit and be by myself, and, like, having your partner, like, being secure enough in your relationship for your partner to know, like, this isn't personal. That's what they need to do to recharge, especially as an introvert, something like that,
Yeah, I definitely, like, that's something, too. Every night I have to read. I'm also, like, a nerdy introvert, but like I need to read.
Do you have
a
favorite book?
Anything where like it's Kevin hates that I love thriller, because then I get like anxious, and then I think he's trying to kill me. I don't know
why I have a nightmare every single night.
I like wouldn't stand too close to the balcony one night with him, and he was so sad, and I was like, you could throw me off, and he was like, are you serious? And I was like, that's what just happened in the book.
Read way too many true crime
and he was
books.
like, you need to stop. But like I can't. Hilarious. So anything where someone's like murdered, it's for me.
Okay, I love that. Yeah. Okay, perfect. Yeah. Perfect. Have you ever watched either Making a Murderer, The Staircase, or The Chris Watts?
I've watched all three.
Oh my God.
Making of a Murderer, or Making a Murderer,
Stephen Avery.
Yes, okay. I was thinking of a different show, but yes, I have. There's a second season or something.
Oh, now, yeah. Right? There's a second season. You haven't seen that yet.
Mm-mm.
Okay. First season.
Yeah.
Do you think he's guilty or innocent?
I think the first time he was put away, he was innocent. When he was like wrongfully put away, innocent, yes. Absolutely 100% innocent.
They found the guy. That's
after that,
confirmed.
Yeah, no.
So you don't think he killed Teresa, whatever her name is?
Oh no, I do think he did. Yeah. 100%.
Oh, sorry. I mean, you do.
That time I do. I just think there's so much trauma that can happen when you're locked up, especially wrongfully. So I just think that like maybe his like reflex was a little bit more aggressive than should have been.
I respect your opinion, but I am on team free Stephen Avery. And
my mom is like that too, and it's funny because she loves true crime, but
feel so bad for him. I feel like he is a little bit delayed mentally.
Absolutely.
And I think that it gets taken advantage of.
Especially the nephew.
Yes, Brendan. Yeah, I think both of them are not fully with it. And I think that because of that, like, they don't even fully understand what's happening to them. Yeah. They can't properly advocate for themselves.
It was for sure set up, though. I mean, I'll 100% say it was set up. I just think that he unfortunately did react.
Okay, wait, hold on. So then I need to ask about the others. I mean, Chris Watts, we know.
Yeah.
And then, what is his name? The Staircase, Michael... what's his name?
Pattinson?
Nah, I think that's another author. I'm getting it confused now. But Michael something.
Yeah. Well, that one was just sketchy because wasn't it like multiple people died on that staircase?
Yes.
So
no, not on that staircase, but his wife. If you guys have not seen any of these series, you need to. It's called The Staircase or Making a Murderer. They're both on Netflix. But The Staircase.
Like 3 wives. Was it?
Yeah, he had it was like he had 2 wives and then this neighbor who lived across the street from him in Germany, but all of a sudden him and his wife were having, no, I'm obsessed with it. Yeah. But his wife and him were like having a glass of wine like by the pool, and then she goes to bed early, he comes inside and she's dead at the bottom of the staircase. And like the majority of the series you're kind of like, okay, I feel bad for this guy. This was just a really sad accident. Yeah. But then you find out that 18 years prior, this woman, his neighbor, died the exact same way. Mm-hmm. And he was also like the last person to have seen her. And it's a little sketch. Right. So him I'm torn on. Yeah. But we can agree to disagree on Steven. Sorry for diverting the situation, but I needed to just get that out. But if you have any other shows or books that you would like me to read or watch, please let me know.
I got you.
Perfect. Okay, do you feel like doing this together, back on track, has brought you guys closer together?
It has. I think a lot of it too is because we can do something that like seems so stupid, but both find so much like comedy in it. Yeah. Like there'll be times I'm like, I have an idea, and I'm like, you just like stand there, and he's like totally willing to do it. Yeah. And same thing with me. So I think it, it's like really helped that we can both be like really funny together, and then also being uncomfortable and the like being recognized has really helped us to grow together too. Like the first time that he was recognized. He had so few following. We were in like the Cape, and it was like super weird. And now it happens like often, and we're like super grateful for it. But I think being able to be in situations where, like we'll be out at Loco and people will be all over him, and like, I mean, I have to be, like comfortable with that. Like we talk about it, and I am comfortable with it. But I think if you're someone who would not be comfortable with that in a relationship, it would make it really hard.
All over him, like girls, you mean? Or just like people, just like, it's like they're like clinging to the fame of him?
People, I mean, girls too. I recently, like, there's been no disrespectful girls. There were girls way back when I wasn't really like on TikTok either that like, he'd be like, oh, this is my girlfriend Ashley. And they're like, uh-huh. Ew. I'm like, okay, like, do you think this is gonna, and like, it doesn't, I'm so confident in it that I'm like, talk
please
all you
have
want.
At it.
I'll be over here. Yeah. So that's fine. But I think like both of us, kind of like being our relationship being in the spotlight and people like knowing about us, but then also going home and knowing that like it's just us two. Yeah. Has really, really helped. But it's different. It's weird. It's nothing I ever thought would like happen. Yeah. So it's funny. Yeah. But it's cool.
Okay. Well, switching gears, because I think that this is something that is really commendable of you and really important. But as of late, you've been talking a lot about your experience in the past with an eating disorder and spreading awareness to it. Are you comfortable sharing a little bit about how that started and like sort of that part of your story?
Yeah, absolutely. So, basically, to begin, I guess, I've been a dancer my whole life. Mm-hmm. So with dancing, it's you're always in like a leotard and tights or like tight little costumes and stuff like that. And I feel really bad for the girls and boys nowadays, because I think with social media specifically, there is a lot more pressure put on people at a much younger age than, I'm very grateful that it was never put on me. But I was always like, I fluctuated. So I hit puberty very young. Like I was in the 3rd grade, puberty already completely done, gone. Yes. So because of that, like I gained that like puberty weight that we all gained at a very young age. And I
became like aware of your body much earlier too.
So like girls, like my cousins are in middle school now, and I'm like, oh my God. Like the stuff that I went through at 9 years old, like you guys are still babies to me. But because of that, like I was very aware of my body, and I also like had gained weight, and like your body's so different now. So because of that, like, I was 5 feet in the 3rd grade. So 3rd grade, super, super tall. Now, super, super short. But I always stood out as kind of like a bigger kid. And in dancing, like, that's not, like, cute, you know?
You think of a dancer and you think, like, petite.
Yeah, exactly. So, whatever. Great. But now, fast forward, I, like, ended up losing a little bit of, like, my weight. But again, like, we didn't have social media and these, like, views that you're supposed to, like, have, like, a big butt and, like, a stomach and stuff. So, like, no big deal, whatever. I ended up going through, I have a few different, like, chronic illnesses now that were found in high school. And one of them, like, my main illness, I guess, it's endometriosis, and it's actually National Endometriosis Month in March.
Oh my goodness,
so,
this is perfect.
Yay, just not yay, but
but it's very good timing.
Yeah, great timing
to start talking about it.
So basically with that, it really started affecting, like, my GI tract, and I couldn't stomach any food. Like,
I didn't realize there was a connection with that.
Super weird, yeah. So it's, like, actually a lot of the reason why, and it shows different in every person. Not everyone will have the same exact experience that I had, but for me specifically, like, I, like, for some reason, out of nowhere, couldn't stomach anything. So I was strictly only eating saltines. It was all I could stomach.
Oh my God.
And just because of that, plus dancing 7 days a week, I, like, rapidly lost so much weight. I went down to, like, 95 pounds or something like that.
Wow.
Well, actually, that's a lie. I went down to, say, like, 105 pounds.
Okay, and this was how old?
This was, I believe, 10th grade. So, like, 15, maybe. Yeah. So I lost a lot of weight. And before that, I was probably, like, 130 pounds or something.
Okay.
So I lost a lot of weight. But with that, I found that, you know, like, I just naturally became a better dancer because there was less weight to carry. I was naturally, and this has nothing to do on dancing the sport by any means, but, you know, I was suddenly being put up in lifts rather than being the one that was being held. And just, again, naturally, I was becoming better because there was less weight to carry. I could start tumbling better. I just started looking better in costumes to my own eye. And, like, of course, and no one means to do it. And at this point, I still was, like, healthy, you know, like, mentally, at least I was fine. And people are like, oh my God, you're looking so good. Like, you're just losing your baby fat. Very normal thing.
That's what they all say.
So normal. But I loved that. I was thriving off of that. So even when I got better, I was like, oh, I can only stomach saltines. So I guess that's kind of what dove me into it. So I think I went into college weighing like 95 pounds or so.
Wow.
And but I was like small, like you could, and like it's so funny. I like see pictures of me then, and I'm like, oh my God, I was so fat. And like now that I look back, I'm like,
but it's crazy though, because if you think about it, like, yes, you are very short, so there's like, you know, if you're shorter, you're going to be a little bit lighter in terms of weight. But if you think about what you like were before and like the drastic difference, but then also the fact that you are an athlete and you should have a lot of muscle that is very, very thin.
It was. And like, so exactly, I was an athlete. I was dancing every day and I was eating saltines. So like, there was like no energy.
So even though you had gotten to the point where you could stomach more, you were feeling better, you felt like you were performing better, you were getting compliments from people, and so you continued to just sort of operate at that.
Yeah. And it wasn't, I think the thing that's really hard about eating disorders, I guess, and this was something that I actually didn't come to the terms of having an eating disorder until like just a few years back, honestly, like well recovered, everything. But I think a lot of it is you think that if you don't go to get help and treatment, like professional treatment, it wasn't an eating disorder. Or, oh, like if I'm not binging every time I eat, purging every time I eat, it's not an eating disorder. Or like I was eating, like, so I'm not anorexic. None of that is a thing. Like if you... pretty much everyone, it's unfortunate to say, but honestly, almost everyone has a really not good, what's the word?
Like an unhealthy relationship with food?
Yes, an unhealthy relationship with food. Unfortunately, we all do. But I think when you kind of let it consume you and you know that you have the unhealthy relationship with food and you still push it aside, kind of. And it's something like I'll forever deal with. I mean, So I think I was just scared to eat and then go back to what I looked like. But, I mean, there were times where, like, I had to eat. So, like, there were times that Christmas, I can't, like, really hide it, but I would make sure I wouldn't eat as much. So, like, I was still hungry, but I was like, oh, I can't do that. And that, like, slowly happened. And then I think I, like, just going to college naturally, you kind of, like, put on weight, honestly. So I did get a little bit better.
Yeah, when you're drinking
right,
Thursday
exactly.
or Sunday.
And, like, it was just, I was still dancing. So I naturally put on some weight, but I was still very small. And then I went through, like, my first breakup summer before sophomore year of college. And for whatever reason, as girls, we think that if we starve ourselves and let the guy know you're starving yourself, they want you back. Like, I remember, like, texting
during
me, like,
the relationship or after?
while broken up.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel like
Danny, I haven't eaten in days. And he's like, okay. Eat something.
Will never forget. I used to work at White House Black Market back in the day when I was in, like, college or high school. I forget how it was. But I remember I had never been, must have been high school because I'd never been in a serious relationship yet. Yeah. And I remember this woman comes in and she's picking off all these clothes off the rack. And I was like, oh, can I start you a footing room? And she said, yeah, if you don't mind, that would be great. I need to try on all these. I don't know what size I am. I've just gone through the divorce diet, so I don't know what fits me.
Right.
And I was like, what does that mean? Like,
yeah.
What does she mean by that? And I didn't realize until later, like, there is this thing as, like, the divorce diet, the breakup diet. What? And sometimes it's intentional, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's, like, very, like, stress-induced, you know?
Absolutely.
But there is that common thread of, like, breakups can cause girls to lose a lot of weight.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully, in our heads, or not hopefully, but, like, in our heads sometimes we think, hopefully, if I look better, then he's going to want me back. It's part of that, like, twisted mentality from a toxic relationship or just an unhealthy mental state.
It's
you know?
Toxic relationship, let me tell you. But no, so it just kind of, and I think from there, even though, like, I recovered as far as, like, what my physical body looked like, mentally, like, I absolutely am still dealing with it. I don't think I will ever get back to ever starving myself per se. However, again, because of dancing, because you're in these little two-piece costumes all the time, like and again, still nothing wrong with the sport. I love the sport. I just think that as like women and as a society, we really need to try to, like, promote healthy eating and nutrition better.
Absolutely.
But, you know, like, I'm someone who I'm an all-in or all-out person. So now I think because of that experience that I've had in the past, I'm either eating, like, counting my macros, weighing my food, or I'm binge eating. And it's still something I struggle with now. I am a lot better, but I was scared of bananas. Like, I still am scared of bananas.
Wait, why?
Because there's so many carbs in a damn banana. So I'll pick, like, a berry over a banana. And I'm like, Ashley, why?
I didn't realize that.
It's the weirdest thing. So, like, there is
Okay, so there's still some things that live with you, even though you've made so much progress.
Right. But then I'll eat a bowl of spaghetti and think nothing about it. So, so I think, so it's just, like, disordered eating.
The things we tell ourselves. The things we convince ourselves.
You can't have a banana. Like, why? But I think it just, like I'm saying, I think it's just unfortunately something that too many people have experience with. And I think it's something that we really need to try to educate better. Mm-hmm. And now I am so obsessed with nutrition that, in a healthy way.
Yeah.
But I think we also need to remember, like, it's like, I had a donut last week, and, like, you don't need to feel guilty about that. Yeah. Nutritionally, is that proper? Like, no. Like, technically, that's actually, like, not that it's really bad, but, like, it's doing nothing for you. Mm-hmm. But I loved it. It tasted great. And I'll do it again. Right. And, like, that's okay. You know? So
exactly. Like, if it makes you happy, if it's something you want, depriving yourself of something can be, like, trigger to start a negative cycle. You know what I mean? So when you start limiting yourself, that's when you should be worried a little bit.
And that's why I can't, I used to, like, prep for auditions and you had to look a certain way. And I got to the point where I was like, I physically can't audition for things anymore because I just don't have a good enough relationship with food that I can deprive myself of something and then turn around and be okay with it later. So, like, I could never do, like, a bodybuilding or fitness competition because if I was to be someone who tracked my macros and cut my food and was told, like, okay, now you have to cut your carbs, like, I can't. I mentally, like, I'm not strong enough to do that.
At what point did you know, or did you say to yourself, like, this has gone too far? I think that there's a
That's hard. I think when, honestly, like, this is pretty sad to say, but I think recently, like, looking back, so, like, during the beginning of COVID, I was prepping for an audition, and then COVID happened. And I remember thinking, like, I was so heavy, and now looking back, it was actually my dream body. I was not restricting myself, but I also wasn't, like, enjoying life fully. Like, it definitely wasn't, like, a balancing, like, what you would want to do for life. But honestly, and, like, I had a six-pack. Why did I think I was fat? You know what I mean? And this was only, like, a year ago.
Wow.
So 2 years ago. So I think when I looked back and I was like, oh, wow, like, you thought you had such a healthy relationship with food at that moment, and you still thought you were fat. So, like, you could not be doing this to yourself anymore.
So this was, like, very recent,
I mean, it's just, it's hard because you really almost, and I don't mean to say this in a negative way, you can overcome something to, like, the naked eye of everyone else, and you can even fool yourself that you have, but you have triggers. And, I mean, I for sure have worked through those triggers recently. And I also think finding someone, it doesn't always have to be finding your significant other that's going to help you through it by any means. Like, you can do this on your own, girl.
Yeah.
But I do think that me finding Kevin and Kevin telling me he isn't going to leave me, no matter how much attitude I give him, he's not going to leave me. Like, all the things in my past that weren't consistent that I always had to worry about, and then you think you can fix it with, like, your appearance, you know, like, not having that insecurity anymore really helps. So, like, I gained so much weight this past year because I was putting on a medication for my endometriosis. I gained, like, 40 pounds or something. And
wow.
I'm just, but, like, in, like, 3 months. And I'm slowly
look
losing
at you.
it.
You look fantastic.
Thanks. Thank you. But I think, like, I was at my biggest and my unhealthiest, and he was like, Ashley, like, you're still beautiful. Like, you're still fine. Like, he's like, if you're not happy with how you are and, like, you're eating the way you always eat, like, it's obviously the pill. It's not you. Let's get you off the pill. Let's get you better. Like, you know, like, but if you feel great on this pill, even with that weight gain, like, who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares? It's not, like, you're still eating healthy. It's not like you're sitting here binging cookies and not ever eating protein.
Right,
like,
right.
You know what I mean? Like, if you're healthy and you just gained weight, who cares? I don't care. Like, you still look beautiful. I'll still take your clothes off. Like, great. So I honestly think he really helped. And now that I came off that pill and I'm, like, slowly losing the weight, I was still not obsessed with my body, but I'm like, okay, like, I still look good.
Yes.
Who cares?
Yes,
like,
you do.
You still got yourself through a pandemic. Like, you still are treating yourself through endometriosis. Like, you're strong. Food is fuel. And I think once I came to that realization, and also people keep messaging me, asking me for, like, my fitness advice. And I'm like, really? Like, I think I look like poop. You want my advice? But that helped. Like, that honestly really helped me. Because I'm like, oh, this is not what I had always imagined being my best look. But people still think I look great, so I'm gonna listen to them. Like, okay, I'm doing a good job.
Sometimes, I mean, you know? We were talking about earlier, like, sometimes a lot of people can say negative things and you've got to, like, let it go in one ear out the other. But then sometimes, on the flip of it, it takes hearing something positive about yourself from somebody else to really realize it and accept it, because it's hard to give ourselves, like, that pat on the back and that reassurance. And sometimes we don't want to assume that, you know, our body looks good, or that our like personality's one way, or that we do this great thing at our job, like, etc. Like, we want the like outside opinion, and we don't always need it, but sometimes it can be really nice to have it, you know?
And like you're saying, I think a lot of it too, especially for me, like, you almost like made it sound better than I can even explain my situation, but my eating disorder stemmed from other toxic parts of my life. And I think, like, once you eliminate that, like, you can heal yourself so much better. So I was always in toxic relationships. So, again, not that, like, your relationship is everything, but I was in a toxic relationship. I had a toxic relationship with food. I have finally found a healthy relationship. I have a healthier relationship with food. I hated my job. Also led to, like, unhealthy eating. Right now, I'm like, oh, I don't love my job. But, like, I like, once you get yourself out of what is causing you, like, the stress and the toxicity, it's what's going to help you grow and help you heal. And I just think it's like a whole cluster of things. And, being confident in your skin is going to help you be confident in like all different ways of life.
I love that. That's so perfectly put. No, seriously, I think that was a really great way, because I think that a lot of times too, eating tends to be one of those things that we feel like if everything's haywire and like we're not happy, it's like that one thing we can control.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if someone listening to this is wondering to themselves, maybe they should get help, or maybe they're on the fence of like, do I have a problem? Do I not have a problem? What would be the biggest thing that you'd want them to know?
I think I would like them to just know that food is your friend and food is good. And like you don't, even if you gain some weight, like that's not why we eat. That's not why we look in the mirror. Like you eat for like to take care of your body for nutrition reasons. So it's going to be scary, but I promise you, like, you'll feel so much better afterwards. Right now, you think you have control over not eating. I promise you that's going to spiral you out of control, because more and more you're going to have less control over a lot of other things in your life. Even if you have that one friend you can lean on, just lean on that person. I have a friend, Lisa, who... Shout out to Lisa. I literally will text her about the stupidest things, constantly repetitive. Like, I'm like, hey, I know I complained about this yesterday, but I still got to complain about it today. You need to find your friend that isn't going to get annoyed with you over these things, who will constantly be there for you, even if it's something so silly. Like, oh my God, my eyeliner didn't come out great today. You know what I mean? Like, you need your outlet. And I really just think find your person. If you don't have a person, like DM me, I'll be your person. Like, you need to be able to talk. And sometimes I think it is easier to talk to a stranger
before you let like the little things build up.
Yeah. Because you think you have control, but it's you don't.
Well, I really want to commend you for being so brave and sharing all of that, because I know it's not easy, and I'm sure it's a really vulnerable thing to do, to put that out there. But I know, as I've been seeing it more, like in the people in my life, like it is so powerful and it's so important, and it's nothing to be ashamed of, and it's something that I think really can help and is helping a lot of people. And whether it's folks who have a current not issue, but like are in a position where they're like having trouble when it comes to their eating patterns, or if it's just a self-confidence thing or whatever it may be, like in so many different levels, I think it can really make such a difference. Right. So thank you for that, and I'm so proud of you for everything that you've done to get to the place that you're in now. I'm so grateful for you being on the show. Before I let you go, I know we talked about a lot in our relationships, comparison from guys and girls, TikTok, the eating disorder, just like societal norms for women. There's a lot to go through, but if there's someone listening at home who was like, I really like this girl, she said a lot of great things, I wonder what like her one big piece of advice would be. It can be about anything, it can be general. What would you want their takeaway to be?
I think that something that helped me grow the most as a person was realizing that it's okay to be selfish. Like, as I said, past relationships, I always thought you had to give up everything in order to have that person love you the most, to have give them everything, and why would they leave? That is absolutely not the case, and then you end up losing so much of yourself. I don't regret any relationship or anything I've gone through, because it definitely has helped me become so much stronger now. However, I am able to be so selfless in my relationship at the moment with Kevin, with myself, with life, with my job, that I'm so much genuinely more happy. I'm able to absolutely, I put Kevin's needs aligned with mine.
Right.
Absolutely. I always want to make sure he's happy as well. I always want to make sure he likes dinner as well. But there's no more I'll eat whatever you're eating. No, I want chicken cutlets tonight. We're going to have chicken cutlets because I'm making chicken cutlets. If you want something else, I'll also make that maybe, or maybe tomorrow. I don't know.
It's compromise. It's not ultimate sacrifice.
Right. Don't lose yourself. And if you are, that's not your person. I'm sorry. No, like, I know that
it's hard to hear, but it's the truth. And sometimes that's what people, like, need to hear. And I do think, like, relationships, like, it's not always 50-50. You know, sometimes one person's 90, giving...
Kevin 10.
Yeah.
You know?
You know? And then, like, it switches back and forth, but it's true. But, like, as long as there's that balance, that push and pull of, like, each of you knowing when the other person's needs may need to be prioritized, then that's okay. But if you constantly feel like you're giving more and getting less, then that's not okay.
Never belittle yourself, ever.
Yeah.
So be selfish.
I love that. There's nothing wrong with being a little selfish. Well, thank you again so much. This has been so much fun. I'm so appreciative. If you guys are not following her on TikTok, it is at DeMato1214, and on Instagram, it's a.Demato. She is just full of funny, humor, good advice, workout, makeup, like you name it. She covers it all. So please go and check her out, give her a follow, and thank you guys again so much for listening. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Bye.